Hello, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Keon.
And this is Zenith, that podcast where we dual-wield shotguns because this week we watched Bounty.
Written by Terry Nation.
Directed by Pennant Roberts.
And aired on March 13th, 1978.
Yeah, we're coming close to the end of Series A of Blake 7.
Yep. It's been a strong season.
Nearly a quarter of the way through already.
Yeah, it's
a little disconcerting to think about.
Yeah, it's going by quickly. Mainly because I'm really enjoying it, and I'll be sad to see it go.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
So the story begins with Callie.
Yeah, the first shot of the story is Callie.
Which is good because the past 2 weeks Callie's done absolutely nothing.
But, yeah, so I guess I'll just say right now, as I normally do, that this is probably my least favorite episode so far.
Wow.
And yeah, well, I didn't dislike the episode. I just thought everything else was better. So Callie in this actually does a lot in terms of, what action she takes, but, doesn't really contribute as much. She's just Blake's sidekick for a lot of this.
I guess, but they do.
I felt Villa, Avon, Jenna, basically everyone else, even Zen in this, was more interesting than Callie. Even though Callie probably does more than, several other characters and has a little more screen time than probably a couple other characters.
I mean, not only does Callie do more, they actually use her one feature that she has that nobody else on the ship has, which is her telepathy.
Yeah, but they just use it for, menial tasks like evading guards, and I guess it comes into play.
Menial.
Well, I guess it comes into play, but I like what they did with Villa, Avon, Jenna, and even Gan, and even Zen, and even Blake. A lot more than Callie. In this, at least.
I don't know. I feel like Callie's first use of telepathy makes a lot of sense because she's hiding in the bushes and there's guards walking by and Blake is about to yell to Callie and then Callie telepathically tells him, hey, don't say anything. There's guards right there.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh. So he doesn't. He walks over to Callie. And then she says something like, my reflexes must be getting slow. They were almost on top of me by the time I even noticed they were on top of me.
Yeah. She says she's going to need to practice her stealth, I guess. And she also says she'll need to practice her telepathy, which is interesting because I didn't know before now that, it was something she had to practice or that it wasn't just some ability she had.
Yeah, I thought it was
a skill.
Yeah, I thought it was implied to be just some innate ability that her species, I guess, just has.
I think it's her species has it, but it's also a skill you have to practice, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, humans have arms, but if you don't use your arms, then they're pretty weak, I guess. Poorly constructed metaphor, but I think it makes sense.
Anyway, Callie is wearing a leopard skin thing. So this was my award for this episode. It goes to Callie's jacket for best use of an endangered species.
Best use of an endangered species?
Yeah, they're endangered there, or even in a critical state at this point. So, no use bringing them back. Might as well just use them for their resources and not even try.
Can't even tell if you're talking in the context of Blake 7, where would they even get leopard skin? Or if you're talking about in real life, why did they make a leopard skin coat as a prop for this TV show?
I'm sure it was fake, but... Well, actually, I'm not sure. I'm just guessing.
You're just trying to self-justify.
Maybe it was cheetah. I don't know. Cheetahs look kind of similar to leopards, although cheetahs sort of have, their spots are sort of outlines and hollow, whereas leopards, I think, have, solid black spots. I think. Anyway, Blake and Callie are hiding, and a car drives by, and it looks like it was made in, the 30s.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this? Are they introducing time travel?
Well, I thought maybe it was going to be a planet that was just, really technologically undeveloped compared to the rest of the Federation.
But no, it's actually just a 20th century Earthaphile.
Yeah, just a guy.
Pretty lame. And they mention how one of them says, was that the guy in the back of the car? And the other one was like, yeah, it was definitely President Sarkov.
He, the
There's
style
a Federation
of car
agent sitting with them.
yeah, the style of car, and also the fact that Sarkov is wearing all black and it's sitting in the back of the car, and the fact that the car looks a lot like a Mercedes really gave me a lot of Nazi vibes from just this shot. I mean, 20 minutes from now, you're like, Sarkov is just a completely ineffectual leader who doesn't know anything about anything.
Well, there is the weird, like I mentioned last week, Bounty, this episode is one of the most controversial Blake 7 episodes because of the weird racial dynamic later on. But we'll get there because that's definitely part of the second half of the episode, the much better part of the episode.
Well, so Blake and Callie...
Well, some guards actually, because Blake and Callie go off, and the guards have set up, I guess,
security checkpoint?
No, they're like speakers or microphones.
Oh.
And Blake and Callie, walk by one, and one of the guards contacts like the head guard and is like, I heard something like that. And the guard's like, are you sure? Because last time it was just rodents or something along those lines. But the guy's like, no, definitely have intruders.
Blake is carrying this like red cooler box.
Yeah,
this is my award for the story. It also occurs in the first like 10 minutes of the story, but this is my award for easiest Blake 7 prop to buy yourself at home.
They've used this cooler like 3 times already. They definitely used it in Seek, Locate, Destroy.
Except in this story, it has absolutely no defined purpose whatsoever. There is absolutely no reason why it should be there. They
have the grappling hook thing. That's where they keep that.
They could have just carried that on their back.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no reason why they had to bring this cooler box at all.
Maybe it was just to separate Blake and Callie later, because Blake is like, all right, go hide the cooler. And that's when they get separated. Which is basically right now, because Blake takes the grappling hook thing out of the box, and he tries to make his way over the castle walls. They follow the car to sort of a castle-like structure.
It's definitely actually a castle.
Yeah, just a convenient place for them to shoot, I guess.
Yeah, this reminds me a lot of Androids of Tara from Doctor Who. But yeah, there's just this castle. There's all this weird, ancient, outdated technology, and you're really left wondering what the hell is going on here.
Where's the Taran wood beast?
I was really left wondering, where the hell is Avon and the Liberator, and anything that would make this part of the story a little more interesting right now. Thankfully, my prayers were answered because we cut to the Liberator, because they've just heard a distress signal.
In a scene that has nothing to do with what's going on the planet. Avon, basically everyone else is like, so, what's this ship? And Jenna, I think, is like, it's unidentified, but they're sending out a distress signal.
Yeah.
So we got to contact Blake. And this is actually a little bit later, but I want to mention it now because it's hilarious. Actually, it's not hilarious. It's just slightly funny. So they contact Blake, and they tell him it's an unidentified ship, and he's like, his first question is Federation, and Jenna just responds like, no, we don't have the reading yet. But I was like, really? She just said it was unidentified.
And Jenna should have just responded with, no, Blake, unidentified. Blake seems a little out of it for this whole story, if I'm going to be frank.
I had a good quote from Blake, which is again a little later, but makes sense to just drop it now, which is actually it does happen right now. He goes, all right, don't take any unnecessary risks. And I was like, really? Blake, of all people, is telling them not to take any unnecessary risks? But yeah, whatever. Villa is like, all right, I don't like the looks of this, but Gan, for some reason, Okay, so I thought it was going to be that his limiter was malfunctioning again, and he had some sort of affiliation with whoever is on this ship, but no, that's actually not the case. He just volunteers to go check out the ship.
Yeah, because Villa's like, hey, it might be a trap. Like, do we really think this is a good idea? And Gan's like, I'll just go over there, and if it's a trap, then, well, I guess I die. Or you can bring me back, I guess.
And Avon's like, you don't really expect us to believe that you're willingly going to your potential death. And Gan's like, no, I do expect you to believe that.
So he goes. Avon and Jenna just man the transporter pad, and they get a message from Gan. It's like, hey, everything's good, bring me back. And Villa's like, okay, Villa, okay. This, for me, was another questionable thing that happens in the story, because Villa decides to... Okay, so let me try to explain this from the beginning. Gan, they get this message from Gan that sounds really suspicious, like, hey, guys, It's perfectly okay
Olag
now.
Gan.
It's
Your
Olag
crew member.
Gan. I am not a robot or a speech synthesizer. Please bring me back to the Liberator. And then so Villa's like, okay, cool. And he stands up and starts leaving the bridge for some reason. And then Zen is like, hey, that wasn't Gan. And then Villa's like, oh, shoot. And he runs back to his chair that he had no reason to leave in the first place, and then contacts Avon. Is like, Avon, that wasn't Gan. Avon, pick up.
I think he was just going to see what's up, with Gan, because I think Gan was, or I think this voice that was supposedly Gan was like, hey, I'm bringing over the people from this ship. So I think he was going to see them, and then when he found out that it wasn't actually Gan, he's like, oh shoot, you got to contact Avon and Jenna, but it's too late. They bring up whoever this is. We don't find out until well later.
Who plays Villa? He did a really funny job of
Keaton.
making Villa seem really happy to go see Gan. He's like walking with a really happy jaunt in his step until Zen's like, data received, and then he's like, oh wait, what?
There's a scene, and we're explaining this way out of order, but oh well. There's a scene where, well, first of all, Zen is really mysterious in this. He doesn't cooperate with them at all. I don't know if you noticed this, but Zen does not cooperate with anyone.
Yeah.
In this.
Well, because Villa's like, so what do you mean it wasn't Gan? What's happened on the transporter pad? And Zen's like, I've got no idea, Villa. Why did you go on a personal mission and find out?
He doesn't even say I have no idea. He just tells Villa that he's going to need to go. He's like, hey, Villa, he says it in a more computerized way, obviously, but he's like, hey, Villa, if you want to go find out so badly, go over and find out yourself.
He says go on a personal mission, and Villa's like, oh, next time you tell me to go on a personal mission, and Avon wants to go on a personal mission to disassemble you, I'm going to hand him the tools, personally. And then he leaves. I never realized that the gun rack was on the bridge, apparently.
Yeah, it is.
I always thought it was like in another room somewhere.
No, that was because in Spacefall, like the first time they go on the Liberator, that's one of the first things their attention is drawn to, the gun rack.
Yeah, I always thought it was like in the airlock or something that they walked through. That's why it was like they saw it immediately.
The airlock, you have to go in the airlock to get a Liberator gun. But yeah, so it's not Gan. We don't find out who it is until 20 minutes later.
That's basically all we hear about this plotline now, because we cut back to Blake.
Yeah, this, like most episodes so far, there's sort of two distinct plot lines. Mm-hmm. Except in this, I don't feel like they integrated them as well as they have in the past.
This one has definitely felt like two separate plot lines.
Yep.
And that's because I think they were two separate plot lines. I think Sarkov he didn't luck into it, but kind of got thrust into the ship that was saving him being kidnapped.
Well, I mean, it's also really obvious considering Sarkov and Tice basically do nothing in the second half once they get onto the Liberator. Mm-hmm. But anyway, Blake confronts Sarkov in his collection room, I guess, which is full of artifacts from 20th century Earth. He has a casing of butterflies. He has a record player. Mm-hmm. And a bunch of other things.
Butterflies. He's a lepidopterist. And Blake is like, what the hell, dude, what the hell? And Sarkov's like, I just like antiques. And Blake's like, seriously, man, get a life.
He asks Sarkov why he's not surprised to see him, and Sarkov is like, I'm a politician, a majorly successful one. Before I was exiled, I was always prepared to have assassins show up at my doorstep. Blake's like, wait a minute, I'm not an assassin.
Sarkov's like, I'm not going to listen to you try to justify you killing me, just do it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with dying.
Sarkov also shows Blake his revolver. Which is unloaded. Yeah, he pretends to shoot Blake, but yeah, it's not loaded, so.
Yeah, at that point, if I was Blake, I'd be like, you know what, this isn't worth it. Screw it. Liberator, beam me up, no, abort mission.
We still don't really know why Blake is there. We don't even really know who Sarkov is.
Well, we do. Because
we don't know his backstory. This is all explained like right now, basically.
Yeah. Tice comes in, Tice being his bodyguard.
Yeah, Blake tells Sarkov he's not there to assassinate him, but to take him back to his planet. Mm-hmm. And that's when Tice pulls the gun on Blake. She dual wields.
Yeah, and Sarkov's like, those ones actually work. And Blake's like, can you not? Please. They're like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, Sarkov orders Tice, or I guess just tells her once you find out who Tice is, not to shoot Blake, but she really wants to.
Then Callie comes in and she's like, oh, you're from that planet that we're trying to take you back to.
Yeah, Lindor.
Lindor. Not
The
to be
forest
confused.
moon of Lindor.
I was going to say not to be confused with the chocolate company.
Lind.
Yes. And
then we get Sarkov's backstory.
Yeah, we get Sarkov's backstory because Callie mentions that her people had sent a...
Lee Han, a representative to Lindor. My bad.
I just said not to be confused with the chocolate.
Yeah, well, I actually thought of that too when I was watching the episode. I was like, Lind.
So they had sent a representative to Lindor because they were both neutral planets that didn't want to join the Federation, so they're going to form like a treaty. But then Sarkov explains what happened because the representative never made it back to Callie's home planet, which I'm completely forgetting the name of.
Yeah.
It began with an A as well. And he basically says that, oh yeah, we had a vote of confidence, but I ended up losing and I got a vote of no confidence, and then I got kicked out, and then basically everything's gone to hell. And then Blake says that because he got kicked out, basically, first off, the Federation rigged the election.
Yeah.
And secondly, there's a civil war breaking out on the planet, and the Federation plans to use the civil war to basically instill Sarkov as a puppet ruler. And so the Federation will basically rule the planet through Sarkov, and Blake wants to take Sarkov back to Lindor before the Federation can do that and basically instill Sarkov back as president, because apparently Sarkov, this completely ineffectual, apparently leader, is the only one on the planet who can reunite the two sides of Lindor and stop the Civil War.
Well, what I got out of this was that Sarkov was actually a well-liked guy and, a successful politician, but then the Federation intervened. Well, according to Blake, at least, the Federation intervened, rigged the vote, basically screwed over his entire political career, had him exiled so they could institute this plan to incite a war or violence or whatever, and then basically take over the planet.
Yeah.
So, I guess it's up for debate. You don't really know whether Sarkov was actually just a majorly terrible politician, or if it was all the Federation. But
Blake definitely says that the Federation rigged the vote of no confidence. So,
but can we trust Blake? That's the
we can
question.
trust him more than everyone else on this show.
I don't know about that.
I'm pretty certain about that. I mean, that doesn't mean you can trust him fully.
There are crew members I would trust over Blake, and Jenna, as this story points out, isn't one of them.
Well, okay, I feel like this story would be a case for why you would trust Jenna.
I wasn't fully on board with, Jenna after this. She's
I'm more on board with Jenna. She has a lot of dedication to these people.
Yeah, she does, but, who knows if that's just all front, too.
I mean, I guess.
Who knows?
You're just rather overly cynical, I think, of Jenna.
And Blake.
Be honest.
And all of them.
Villa's
I trust Villa the most.
That's what I was about to say. Villa's the one who gives you the least reason not to trust him.
He also seems to be the most sensible, in this. He was the one who's like, really, guys, we're going to contact the... Actually, that's not fair. All of them kind of are skeptical of Gan's gung-ho attitude, but there are other instances, like when they were about to go into the gravity well, Villa was like, really, guys? Really? Are we seriously doing this?
Yeah, but I don't know if I wouldn't trust Villa with my personal property, because as he says back in the way back, property just has a mysterious way of making its way to him.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, back to the story at hand. Blake keeps contacting the Liberator to get them to beam him up because, the guards are going to realize they're there, but the Liberator, because it's empty, isn't beaming him up. And then eventually they get beamed up, although I don't really know how.
So they need to escape from the castle. The guards are alerted to their presence. So first they have Callie and Tice go start the car, while Blake, I think, or I don't forget who actually, I'm pretty sure it's Blake, goes out back, fires a blaster bolt, and uses some sort of smoke bomb out back. So the guards all run to the back of the castle, and they're like, oh shoot, it was just a diversion. So they start running to the front. Blake needs to convince, what's his face?
Sarkov
to come with him because Sarkov still doesn't want to come. He just sort of, wants to stay in his castle or whatever under Federation guard. And Blake is like, all right, if you don't want to come, I'll just start destroying all your stuff. So he breaks the record. He's about to smash the butterfly case too, and Sarkov's like, no, I'll come.
I mean, it's not like Sarkov doesn't really have a way of transporting all this stuff to Lindor, right?
Yeah, so, I mean...
And it all basically belongs to the Federation now, right? Since they clearly have a presence on this planet. It's not like they're not just going to burn it when they leave.
I mean, I guess he just wanted, the chance to come back and get it rather than just having everything destroyed anyway. And then even if Blake did destroy everything, I wouldn't put it past him to just threaten Sarkov. Although I guess Sarkov wanted to die, so... I don't know. I don't know. But Sarkov goes with him. He puts on the bracelet. They get in the car because the Liberator's not ready to beam them up yet.
They start driving away in a chase sequence eerily reminiscent or foreshadowing of the chase sequence in Indiana Jones and the Lost Crusade.
What?
When Indy and his dad are riding along on the motorbike being chased by trucks.
I guess it wasn't that similar to me.
That's what it reminded me of.
Reminded me, actually, of the scene in Children of Men, the movie version, which is completely different from the book, of the car chase scene from there where they have to start the car and there's people shooting at them. Then again, when aren't people shooting at the main characters in that movie? Good question. I don't remember. But
I haven't watched that movie or read that book. So.
Yeah, the movie, I was surprised to find out, is actually semi-famous, but the book has almost no action in it, yet the movie is basically just an action movie.
Why not? I guess. Why not?
Anyway, eventually, the car is about to
run into a guard post.
There's actually a semi-funny scene before that where Blake is trying to start the car. It has one of those cranks at the front that you have to start, and a guard walks up and he's like, all right, nice try, guys, but everyone get out. And then he doesn't see Blake in the front of the car, so Blake just jumps out and like karate chops him, and they make their getaway, and they need to get beamed up, and it's really tense because they're about to just crash into this barricade, but they get beamed up just in time.
Yeah, but...
And you're like, wait, who beamed them up if the Liberator is empty?
Yeah. My question exactly.
Surprised it was Jenna.
Was it Jenna?
Yeah, it was, because we see Jenna like at the control thing to beam them up, and Tarvin or someone's there, and he's like, "Yeah, good job." And this is the first instance where we see the blue collar thing. I was like, "Wait, what's that blue collar?"
No, but we don't see you at the control panel till after, though. They beam up into the teleporter room, and then Blake sees nobody in the room, and that's why he goes looking
room
for someone.
Yeah, and then we see Jenna with the blue collar thing, and Tarvin's there, and he's like, "Good job, Jenna. Guess you didn't really care for your crew anyway."
I guess the teleporter can control from elsewhere on the ship. That's not something that's ever been introduced before. I mean, we haven't seen basically most of the Liberator. We haven't seen the treasure room, even though it's mentioned in this. We still haven't seen it. Maybe Zen beamed them up. I don't know.
But yeah, so we're introduced to Tarvin and his group, who are the Amazons. The Amazons. So this is...
Not to be confused with the Amazons.
Well,
it's another Terry Nation original here.
They're the reason why this is so controversial. They're space Arabs, I guess, but they're done in like a stereotypical way where they're like bandits.
Yeah, that's 100% the vibe I got from the story, was that they were supposed to be some sort of Middle Eastern type troop of bandits, which is like, okay.
But I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I think
the thing is, it's going to sound like I'm defending this decision, and maybe I am, but the thing is, most of the people on Blake 7, just in general, are bad people, and this group is no different.
I mean, be that as it may, I think most of the controversy probably, I haven't read up on it, comes from the fact that stereotypically in TV shows and movies, people from the Middle East are portrayed as bandits and basically scumbags and the worst of the worst. And like even in this story, that I guess everybody in the Blake 7 is universe, there's like the indication that Tarvin is like worse than everybody else, especially when
Better his job than Travis, at least.
Especially when like Sarkov is talking with him like, yeah, you'll be a prince among your men, but your men aren't that great, Sarkov.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing, right? Because this is a politician talking to, I guess, a potential politician. He'll be a prince, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of, well, I guess the main one is Saudi Arabia, which still has, it's still a monarchy to this day. There's a king of Saudi Arabia. Mm-hmm. So, there's also that dynamic where it's like, yeah, we in the West, or not the West. I don't really, not agree. I don't like the term the West, because like, what does it mean, right?
Everything to the west of China, really.
Whereas like, but no, it really doesn't, because would you consider like the Middle East? Would you consider Saudi Arabia? Would you consider, different people consider different things the West, right? Like you immediately said everything the west of China, but like would most people consider the Middle East the West? I don't know. So I don't know what the West means.
No, I don't think most people consider the Middle East part of the West. I think actually the term the West, while it is, I agree, a really
it's kind of a
contrived term.
It's just a useless term, especially like today, in my opinion.
I think it basically means, predominantly white countries, really. At least that's my understanding of how people typically use the term the West.
Yeah,
it typically refers to like European countries and then like America.
Yeah, and then like also, that's true. I think that's what people mean when they say the West, like Europe and then like the United States and Canada. Mm-hmm. But like then also like what does white mean? But that's another story. Anyway, what I was trying to say is like there's a weird dynamic between like the European or like the Euro-descended group, the actor. Like this is T.P. McKenna actually playing Sarkov, so Irish actor who's been in like a bunch of other stuff. He played Simon Dedalus in the movie adaptation of Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, interestingly, which I don't know how you would adapt that. I haven't seen the movie. I don't know how you would adapt that to a movie. There's also a Ulysses movie. I have no idea how that's adapted into a movie because it literally just wouldn't work as a movie. It's just totally dependent on being text. But anyway, that's a complete digression. What I've been trying to say for like 5 minutes is that there's a weird dynamic between the Euro-descended guy who's a politician who was elected, however corrupt the system was, and then like the guy who's the Middle Eastern-esque guy who's going to be a prince, right? So
yeah, that's
all I was trying to say. It took 20 years to say it, but yeah,
better late than never, right? I mean, yeah, it's definitely, when I was watching, I was like, this is a little bit weird, I guess. Just kind of off. It just felt off, I think. Something about it feels off.
I mean, again, it's going to sound like I'm defending this decision. And again, maybe I am, but like, at the end of the day, I didn't really care. I really didn't care. Like, is it racist? Like, yeah, maybe it is. Probably is, actually. But like, do I really care? No, I really don't, actually.
I mean, racists, homophobes, they all make art in some form. If you discounted well, I guess it's like, can you separate the art from the artist? Should you separate from the art from the artist? I guess it's the question at hand. Like, yeah, is it racist? Yeah, at least a little bit. It's at least a little bit racist.
Yeah, I don't think you can argue that it's not. But
and then the question really boils down to, like I said, can you and should you separate the art from the artist?
And also a question of like, am I gonna if I'm presented with like something that's racist, sexist, homophobic, whatever, am I gonna like immediately turn it off? No, I'm absolutely not.
Mm-hmm. Then I guess is the racism an integral part of the story? Is it just something that's tertiary? Does that affect whether or not you're okay with it? I guess I don't know. I really don't know. I'm just here to watch Blake 7.
Yeah.
Here's a fun fact for you after all of that. The lady who plays Tice starred in an adaptation of Crime and Punishment. I thought that was kind of a neat, weird connection.
Who did she, who she played?
I knew earlier when I had IMDb open, but I don't have IMDb open anymore, so no, unfortunately. Anyway, Blake gets thrown in this makeshift prison room, I guess.
Where everyone else is. And, at this point, I was still thinking that Gan might have been, allied with the Amazons based on his weird behavior earlier, but apparently that's not the case.
Yeah, apparently they're all just in this room. And then, so Villa unlocks Blake's bracelets, I guess, his handcuffs.
That's a little later, but yeah.
Well, he unlocks his handcuffs immediately. It's the necklace he takes a while on.
Yeah. Because they're all wearing the blue collars.
Yeah. Because they have that pile of handcuffs there when Jenna comes in later.
Yeah. Huh, I didn't notice that.
And then she
Probably in the
like
corner
kicks
and
it.
blurry.
Well, she kicks it, and then she says, "Oh, I see you all following the rules, whatever." And that's kind of why Blake doesn't believe that Jenna's fully turned over to that side yet, because she would have pointed out that they had unlocked all their handcuffs if she really was on their side.
Yeah. So anyway, Villa's trying to take off the collars, which have the potential to detonate if you try and force them off, and Avon's trying to open the door.
Yeah.
There's a lot of actually kind of snarky or witty banter between Avon and Villa in this. So again, one of those things people point to for why Avon and Villa are best buddies.
Well, there's also some between Villa and Blake, because Villa's like, "Why do I have to do this?" And Blake's like, "Because I trust you." And Villa's like, "But if I get it wrong and I'm behind you, then it'll blow me up too." And then Blake's like, "That's why I trust you, Villa."
So Jenna actually knows Tarvin, who's the leader of the Amazons, or at least this group.
Yeah, I think it's just this group of Amazons.
Yeah. So she knows him.
And I think also when Blake finds out that it's the Amazons, he's like, "Aren't the Amazons like, aren't not bounty hunters? They're like
smugglers.
Smugglers." And then I think Avon or Villa's
Gan
like,
actually says,
"Oh yeah, I guess Gan."
He's like, "Well, they've been known to do everything bad."
Yeah, like I said earlier, whether or not everyone in the Blake Sevens universe is bad is this indication that the Amazons are worse.
Yeah. So, and yeah, Jenna's obviously, pretending to be on board, but not fully.
Yeah, and also there's also those rapey comments Tarvin and advances Tarvin makes towards Jenna, so there's that too.
Yeah. But eventually Jenna convinces Tarvin that she needs to go check up on Blake and everyone else. So, she mentions the treasure room.
Yeah, actually. She tells him, because he's like, "I'm getting 13 million credits for turning in the ship.
And Federation ships are on the way here."
And she's like, "Well, I could give you 300 million credits." And he's like, "I don't believe you." And she's like, "We have a treasure room." He's like, "I don't believe you. Go with my guard and show him." She's like, "Okay."
She goes with the guard and she knocks the guard out eventually.
Yeah.
And she gets caught by another guard, and she's like, I was told to go check on Blake."
Yeah.
And the guard's like, "Why?" And she's like, "Well, why don't you go ask Tarvin yourself?"
He's like, "No, I'm coming with you instead." And she's like, "Okay." So they go, and then this is when Jenna kind of walks through and she kicks the pile of handcuffs, and she's like, "I see you all following the rules." And then she leaves.
Yeah.
And then she knocks this guard out too, because she walks past where the first guard was knocked out, and the guard's like, "Oh no, what happened?" And while he was distracted with the first guard, she knocks him out too. So 2 for 1.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think she killed these guys, but
I don't think so either.
Probably had to kill them. I mean, you don't just want these guards just knocked out in the Liberator corridors, so I'm guessing they killed them later.
Yeah, I guess. Awkward. Loose end there. So Villa gets Blake's blue collar off, and then he's like, "Genius, I'm a genius." And now for my next trick, and he goes over to open the door, and Avon's like, "It's done." And Villa's like, "Heck yes, it is." And he's about to open the panel, but then he just pulls on it, and the whole door opens. He's like, "Oh, it is done." So then there's a guard standing right there, and they're like, "Oh shoot." And Blake just throws his collar at the guard, and it blows up and kills him in what is quite possibly the most questionable explosion effect in this whole show so far. It
looks like 4 stars.
Yeah. 4 stars superimposed on the screen. I think I actually did a double take when this happened.
Anyway, I forget why or how this is the case, but Tice somehow unarms Tarvin.
She has a gun in her shoe, hidden in her shoe. And she pulls it out, and he's like, "That's a gun," because it's obviously a 20th century Earth gun.
Yeah.
Sarkov's freaking obsession with ancient relics. And Blake meets up with Jenna at the same time. And so basically, so Tarvin disarms Tice because Tice gets distracted because Tarvin's like, "Sarkov!" And she looks at him, and then the gun gets knocked away, but then Sarkov picks up the gun. So Tice is lying on the ground, and Tarvin's about to blow up Tice's head unless Sarkov puts the gun down. And then
Tice is like, "Just do it. Do it, Sarkov. Do it." And I think we already know that Tice is Sarkov's daughter at this point. It was revealed.
Well, it's revealed like right now, because Tice is like, "You owe this to me, your daughter. You owe this to me." And it's supposed to be a big reveal, I guess, that just completely falls flat.
It was all right. I mean, it was interesting, I guess.
It's okay.
I guess.
So basically then what happens is Blake and Jenna come in, and that distracts Tarvin. He turns around, and then Sarkov shoots him. And he dies, so Tarvin dies.
Yep.
And that's basically the end of the story, because then Blake's like, Zen, take us out of here.
Yeah, I forget what exactly it is again, but like several previous episodes, it ends on like a really weird, awkward line. I forget what it was though.
Callie's talking with I think Gan or Jenna, and Blake's like, don't just stand there, get to work, and then that's how it ends.
Oh yeah.
I remember noticing that too, because I was like, huh?
Anyway, the Dudley Simpson score in this is great, as it has been for the past couple of weeks.
Honestly, it'd be easier to just mention when the score is not great at this point.
This is weird though, because Dudley Simpson is doing basically every Doctor Who score at the same time as this, and it's just garbage on Doctor Who. And like, it's just all synth stuff for Doctor Who. Here it's like, it's some synth and there's some actual real instruments, and it's
possible
just better.
He was just overworked,
and he just contributed all his effort to Blake 7. There's a remix, not a remix, but there's like a motif that has the Blake 7 theme in it in this that I noticed, which was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think the first time they've done that, I think.
Maybe.
Did Dudley Simpson do the music for Meglos? Because that was the only classic Doctor Who story that actually had the motif from like the Doctor Who theme in it. I don't remember if he did.
I honestly don't remember. Meglos was one of those weird stories in the transition period between the happy-go-lucky Douglas Adams era and the really depressing JNT Sayward era.
Yeah, it's one of those stories where you get a lot of death, destruction, and just dark subject matter, but you also have like a talking cactus and
a really weird juxtaposition of the two. Anyway, I think the story was good. I think, in my opinion, this story was one of the best for actually showing, or at least telling us about an actual explicit event that the Federation
did that was bad.
Because all we've heard up until now is what? The Federation squashed some rebel groups, and they killed everyone, but...
Well, we know they take over planets.
And we know they take over planets, but we don't know how. We don't know... Because there's been an implication before the planets petitioned to join the Federation. So, yeah, Blake refers to it as taking over planets, but we've never been certain, like, is that just Blake's skewed perception of planets opting to join the Federation by their own hand?
Yeah.
And this is the first story where we learn that, in some cases, the Federation just rigs the elections and instills a puppet leader of its own to take over these planets. And, like I said, we've heard the Federation kills people, and also, like, Travis committed that massacre, but, we always had that implication that the Federation disowned Travis's actions in that instant. So,
well, I mean, they did. They imprisoned him for war crimes.
So...
It was basically just Servalan who wanted him free.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, this is like the first story that really shows us something that the Federation has done that is bad. And this just basically and explicitly tells us the events of the story, and then we basically judge them to be bad.
Yeah, that part was interesting. Again, I just didn't like the first half is just boring, I'll just say. I mean, like, there's a lot of just running around the castle. None of it's very interesting. A lot of like, all right, go hide this while I, use the grappling hook and go off and, I don't know. It's just the stuff between Blake and Callie. And there's no like interesting dialogue between them. It's just them telling each other what to do. It's mostly Blake just ordering Callie around.
Well, I mean, Callie is definitely by far, I think, the character who's got the least going for, I guess, in terms of Blake's crew.
Yeah.
Gan's got the limiter, which makes him interesting. Avon is basically the second in command at this point. Jenna...
Villa gets a lot of the cool lines, so he's
Villa
still
gets
cool.
the cool lines. Jenna
was interesting, at least in this, because we got a little bit more of her backstory.
Yeah. And then there's Callie,
who, in theory, is interesting because she's an alien. She's non-human. She's telepathic, but they don't really use that in an interesting way. They don't do anything with Callie.
I mean, I was glad they brought it back in this story and they didn't just immediately drop it. I mean, it felt like they had just dropped it.
It's Blake 7 Sensorites moments. It's probably not going to come back very much.
Joy.
And like we mentioned before, there's a weird race dynamic later on, which, I don't feel like we did justice to any of that.
I don't know. This episode, I guess, is controversial for a lot of reasons. Whether or not we did them justice, I don't think
we did, and I don't think
it necessarily matters. Really.
I think it matters. I just don't think we're equipped to even take it on. in any way that's actually going to do the entire situation any sort of justice at all.
Yeah, I don't think either of us are well versed in global politics, I guess. Global politics of the present or global politics of the past. So we just kind of moved on, and we're probably just going to move on right now. So we got another email this week. You can probably guess that it's from the illustrious Sergeant Drano.
Right. Thanks again, Sergeant
Thanks
Drano.
again for somehow finding time, and you're probably busy and much better life to email this podcast.
Being a sergeant, you know.
to email this new and not so great podcast. Just some self-deprecating humor for you there. Anyway, let's get right into it as usual.
Take it away, Zen.
Hey guys. Just watched Bounty. Been a while since I seen that one. Quite a lot of plot. Loved President Zarkov's pimp outfit in Bessie car. Blake is kind of a dick in this one, basically kidnaps Zarkov after breaking his toys. And apparently Federation troopers gotta raise their visors in order to talk on the radio? That's a little inconvenient. Love all the cool different alert colors they have. I think my favorite was blue mobilization. I guess blue is even more alert than red? I wonder if the alerts are status updates on Sub-Commander Janny's balls? How come Blake commandos in a standard Liberator hoodie, but Callie has to sneak around in a leopard fur jacket? That doesn't seem fair. Although which one of them is it unfair to? You decide. In an episode called Bounty, who or what in the episode is the quicker picker-upper? If you give up, the answer is written backwards and upside down on the other side of this email. You'll have to print a hard copy in order to flip it over. Great episode, 7 out of 7. All the best. Sergeant Drano. Station 7, the door.
Okay, so you may have noticed decidedly that our text-to-speech still does not sound like Zen, because I haven't found a good imitation of Zen, and I'm not going to attempt one myself.
Should just get Peter, Tuddenham, or whatever his name is.
Is he still alive? Because
I don't know.
In the he doesn't
not.
do the voice of Zen in the audio.
No, he's probably not alive. But
they
that's
got a
not
guy
going to
named
stop us.
Alistair Locke to do the voice of Zen in the audios. Anyway, that's besides the point. A lot of plot, I guess. Actually, I think I agree. I think I really liked Bounty. Federation helmets are not designed for ease of use.
They're just designed to look menacing and cool, apparently.
Like everything on this show, I think nothing is really designed to be easy to use from what I can tell. The different kinds of alert colors actually reminds me of
Star Wars.
Star Trek, actually,
Oh,
I was
okay.
going to say. They have a lot of different alert statuses on Star Trek, and surprisingly, they all have different meanings. Red alert is like combat. You're in combat. Yellow alert is like prepare for combat, get to your stations. Blue alert is like you're in a low energy state. You got to conserve power. I think black alert is only on Star Trek Discovery. I think they go to black alert when they activate the spore drive. I think. I might have confused black and blue alert, but I don't think so. Pretty sure on this one. Anyway, if blue alert on this is anything like Star Trek, it just means that they've got no power.
I don't think it refers to Sub-Commander
Janie's balls.
Somehow I don't think that's the case. But, maybe. We don't know for sure.
Don't have personal experience with that. Anyway, how come Blake Commando's in a standard Liberator hoodie? Well, I think that's just unfair. I think they should be allowed to go down to the planet and whatever the hell they want, but...
Yeah, what is this? Why are there uniforms for Blake's crew? What kind of ship is he running?
I was going to say, why are the uniforms for a crew on a spaceship that they stole, which logically shouldn't have uniforms for all of them, and also they're all criminals from different walks of life. This is barely even a coherent crew. Why do they have any sort of uniform? Although then again, Jenna seems to wear the same, black and white shirt every week now.
Yeah.
I guess the uniform is just to tell them apart in case they get amnesia.
In case you can't tell Villa and Jenna apart,
Just, oh no, which one of them is Villa? Just in case you couldn't tell Callie and Gan apart.
Okay, you might not be able to tell Blake and Avon apart from a distance. But
I was going to say Blake and Gan because I think they have similar hairstyles.
Yeah, maybe.
Blake and Avon, I feel like you could tell them apart from their
Gan
hair.
is like twice the size of anyone else, though.
That's true. And Villa's like half their size, so... Anyway.
Which still begs the question, how much does Michael Keating weigh? We don't know.
Yeah.
Still don't know.
We don't know. Yet. Your final question, well... I wasn't really down.
I'll just admit, I don't understand what you mean by that last little paragraph there. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, and I wasn't really down to print out a copy of the email, largely because our printer is in a questionable state right now. So I wasn't willing to try it on an email. Although I will tell you, I did entertain the thought. I didn't just immediately dismiss it. I did entertain it briefly. And then I dismissed it afterwards. Anyway, yeah, thank you for emailing. Glad to see that you really enjoyed the episode. Yeah. I really enjoyed it quite a bit.
One of the weaker ones, in my opinion, but
Always good to hear from you. Always good to hear from someone who's not us. I think it's good to have an opinion on the show that's not one of our two. And also, we really appreciate that people actually care about Zenith enough to email us and send us some thoughts on the episodes for the week. So
take a page out of Sergeant Drano's book and
email us at thedoctor@decorativevegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, your thoughts on Callie's complete lack of character. You can find us on YouTube at Decorative Vegetable. You can find us on Apple Podcasts and Google Play at Zenith a Blake 7 podcast. Be sure to leave a rating if you like the show. Shout out to that one guy who I saw left a review on iTunes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
5-star review.
We did read it. Thank you very much.
Check us on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook. Also check us out on Twitter at TYD Podcast and follow us on Twitter. And next time we're watching Deliverance. But until then, the end.